Here's the finished product. This is the Wilwood master cylinder with the line lock system and the proportioning valve. All plumbed with hard lines on here and a couple of factory brackets to hold this together. Both of these brackets actually fit on here good. So it was a lot of work getting to this point. So let's do the title intro and I'll show you where I started from. You're watching On the Mark with Mark. Well, here's where I started. I've got my master brake cylinder here, and then this is the proportioning valve on the side. And then I also have my line lock bracket, which I need to get mounted on here too. But one thing I've noticed, this thing is kind of an odd shape and sort of hard to hang on to. So I think what I need is I need some kind of a fixture, some kind of a bracket or something to hold this thing while I do all this plumbing. So let's see if we can come up with something good here. So I think this will do. Let's get a close look at it. Okay, so this is my original hard line that was going to the line lock that I had set up. But that was before I realized I still needed to put this proportioning valve on here. So I'm not going to be able to use that, so that's kind of too bad. Now, the way the proportioning valve works, it's got a little bit of a gap here. And it came with some spacers that are supposed to go in between there. And they're a little bit thicker than what my bracket for my line lock is. So what I was thinking, I can just use my line lock bracket as that spacer. So I'm going to put that in between here. And then these are just temporary bolts so I can bolt the thing to my bracket. There, that doesn't need to be really tight. Doesn't that look slick? Got my wires for the line lock. So that's how it's going to be mounted. Also, I put the hole through here so I can actually use this little bracket to do my bench bleeding when that time comes. After looking at this for a minute, I think what will actually work better for me if I put this on upside down. That looks kind of goofy, but now I can see all the things that I need to be able to get to. We have the Wilwood master cylinder here. Now these ports are interchangeable. So the pressure can come off of this side or this side. These are just plugs. Now the way it's set up right now, I just put it together the way that Wilwood expects you to, and it gave me these really nice pre-bent stainless steel brake lines, and I just love them. Unfortunately, I'm only going to be able to use one of them. So here's the thing. These two lines right here go to the front calipers, and this one goes to the rear. So what I want to do is I want my line lock here to be able to block off the fluid coming back from the front tires. So I can push my foot down on the brake pedal, energize the solenoid here, locking off the brake fluid, and then I can let my foot off of the brake pedal and the fluid will not come back from the calipers. So I don't think I can cut both. It makes sense to me. Boy, should I do that? Have them, can I do that? I could bring, no, I can't bring both of them into here and then have one come out and go to the front calipers. Right now, there's one brake line coming straight from both of the front brakes, and there's one that comes up that comes from the rear brakes. So what I was thinking I would do is I would redo those front lines so that it's a single line to each one. But maybe I could use this as my union, and if I brought both of these out and had them go into here, gosh, that just doesn't seem like a good idea. And then, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting how this even goes. This could work. And then one here goes to my front brakes. I'm going to have to think about this. I figure I better check the clearance on this before I go plumbing a bunch of stuff down here. This is the bottom side, remember. It's got to be able to fit above the steering box right there. So I'm not quite sure how much room I have. Let's take a close look at this. Kind of hard to make out here. I get my bracket upside down. Yeah, there's plenty of room down below. Now here's what I was talking about. Here's the brake line going to the front brakes, and then this is the brake line going to the rear brake. But if you look, there's only these two. So I kind of hate to lose this thing here. It's already in place. This one doesn't look corroded or anything. And it's got this extra, like a spring around it, which is pretty neat. I'd like to keep that. Oh, there's my splitter right there. I don't know if you can really see that or not. Here's a diagram that shows what's happening here pretty well. Now, it's located right on one of the front frame rails right here. And what the deal is, you can see there's two lines coming out of the master cylinder, one from the rear of the master cylinder going to the back side of this bracket, one from the front going to the front side of this bracket right here. Here's how the pressure regulating valve and switch works. Where I'm going to be coming in for the front wheels is right here. This goes down into this port here and then splits off to the left and right calipers. Then there's a switch in the middle. Then my rear line is going to come into this rear outlet, and then that goes through to here and goes out to the rear wheels. Now, if there should be a leak on either side, front or back, then this piston moves from side to side and it pushes that little switch up, which is electric, and then energizes here and turns on a light bulb on my dash. So that's how the front wheels are getting split, is right here. And I don't want to lose this switch right here, so I'm keeping this in place. My original plan was to put my line lock between the brake line coming out here and going to this splitter right here. But that doesn't seem very smart to me, because as soon as I do, then I have to take this and I have to join them together again. Well, I have this with the line lock, and it actually has 3 ports going into it and then just one coming out. This is the one that turns on and off when the solenoid is energized. So I've got 3 locations I can bring brake fluid in. So I'm going to come off of here and I'm going to bring one line in, probably over to this side, and then I'm going to bring the other line in over on this side, and then I'm going to use this plug right here. And then this here is going to be what goes to the calipers on the car, and I labeled the brake line side and the engine side. So what's going to happen is the brake line, this is upside down, remember, comes out and then it turns this way, if you remember from my earlier part of the video. So I'm going to need probably have a 90 like this, only I noticed that those out there were larger diameter fittings, so it's going to need to be one like this. So not only am I going to turn 90, but I need to become one of these, which is a part I don't have yet, but I'll be able to buy. So that's the plan. So for right now, we're plumbing from here to here and from here to this back side over here. So I can use these, which is great. I really like the way these look. And then mine is going to be this type of brake line. It's got some kind of a, I don't know, it's probably paint, maybe something resistant to brake fluid. I don't know. I've got a piece over here that's about 6 feet long. So I can make a lot of mistakes before I get to one that I'm satisfied with. This is about as tight a bend as my brake line bender can make. This is the type that I have here. It actually works pretty nicely, but boy, I wish I could make as tight a bend as what this factory guys did with this stainless steel, which that's got to be difficult to do. They did a wonderful job. I'm really happy I can use those. Okay, so in order for me to be able to do mine, I'm going to have to come out and I'm going to have to step off to the side a little bit, and then so then I'll come down and be in the same plane as this, and then I'll be making my turn like this. So it's going to come up, come out, come over, and go in like that. All right, so I've got a piece of, this is just coat hanger, and I'm going to make my bends with this, and then I will try to match this. Kind of hate losing that nice factory flare, but I can make a flare too. Here's what I've come up with so far. Haven't put it on yet, but it looks pretty close. And if you look, I did not follow my wire at all. So it goes here and kind of misses over here, so I'm going to force it over so it's got a bend on it. So now I'm running a risk of cross-threading it, but no, not cross-threaded, but definitely, I don't know if you can see how this side here is pushed out like that. Okay, not my best work, but I haven't done this for quite a while. I'm going to leave that one for now, and I'm going to move on to the other one, and then I'll get a little more experience with the bending, and I'll do that one, and I'll come in this back side. Then I may come back and redo this one here. This is kind of the issue with this thing. See how I've got that tube right at the very bottom there? Now, as soon as I start bending, see how it's creeping up? It pulls, it pulls, and finally I have my 90 degrees. But look at how much shorter it is right there. I wonder if I greased this upper side or maybe put some beeswax on it, if it would slide a little bit better instead of pulling it like that. But that's about as tight of a 90 as I can get. I mean, this section right here I want to keep short. Okay, I got my first run through done, and it's kind of sporty looking. I had to go 45 with this one to get into here. See the problem? Somehow I got off track. This was supposed to go over here. So that's why I bought a lot of brake line. So this one's scrapped now, but there's some bends on here that I can replicate and still try to get in over here. So that's how it's going so far. Okay, sometimes this is the way it goes. Big swing and a miss here. These lines that I had put on here were not right. So that's why I just sped all that up. So you can see how much time I put into it before I realized that this wasn't right. So let me show you. Let's get in here and we'll take a close look. Now, I have plumbed some of this, every connection going into my line lock solenoid incorrectly. So let me go over this carefully and I'll show you what I had done wrong. That's why I just sped up all that. I did want to show how much time I spent bending, tubing, and I had a couple of nice bends in there, but I got to do it all over again and come in with some different fittings, which I have now bought. So let's take a close look and I'll show you how it should be. I had this type of a fitting, which is correct. This, if I had put a flare on there, that goes into here. Inside here, this type of fitting is let me get this right, 3/8 24 female thread inverted flare. That's what this is right here. That's what the flaring tool makes, that's an inverted flare there. So that is what needs to go into there. Now, on this side over here, what we have here are pipe threads. And it just happens to be that it is also a 24 threads per inch thread. So these screw in here, but that doesn't mean they can go there. This is not right on this end because there is no inverted flare down there. What this needs is a pipe thread. So I've gone and bought these little fittings here, and if you look in there, these have the inverted flare inside, but then this side is a pipe thread. So of course it's a 24 threads per inch pipe thread. So that, as you probably know, pipe threads are tapered. So as I put this in, it's getting tighter and tighter. And I'll put some pipe dope on that so we get a good seal on it. So I bought 2 of these. So these are going to go on this side. Now we have inverted flare to inverted flare. So now we can go with our lines in between there. And this also makes it so I don't need to make this last turn to get into here. Look how simple this is. I'm just going to come up and I'm going to go over and come down into here. In fact, I was thinking I might try to tighten these to the point to where they're sitting at a 45-degree angle. So I only have to come off here with a 90 and come across and then go 45 into both of these. So that's going to take care of getting from my proportioning valve to the line lock. So both front caliper lines are going to go into here, and then my line lock is going to act as a T. Now coming out of the top of the line lock, there's 3 intake ports on the line lock, so it can accommodate different directions. This is going to get a 24 threads per inch pipe thread plug. So that's going to go in there just to close off that one, because we don't need that. Now coming out of here, I need to come out of here and I need to go to the brake line side, which this is, if this was in the car, this is upside down. My brake lines are coming up from the engine compartment, and then they make a right-hand turn and they come kind of in this general direction, probably pretty close down here on the master cylinder. So I'm going to have to, this is a problem for future me, I'm going to have to bend those to get those to hook into this line right here, which is the rear. This is the one that gets proportioning done to it. And then this is my through the line lock port here. So what I have here, where did it go? Okay, I don't have this side set up yet. If coming from the car was this 3/8 inch 24 inverted flare, this would work, but it's not. It is a 9/16 inverted flare. So that's too bad. Unfortunately, I don't think they make a 1/8 pipe thread 90 to a 9/16 inverted flare. If they did, that would be beautiful. I would put one right there and I would put one right here. But what I can do is I can cut off my 9/16 nut that's on the brake line, and I can replace it with this one. This is, I'm not sure what size this is. I think this is a 5/16. Yes. Okay, so I can cut off the flare on the car, and then I can pull the nut off of it. I can put this one on, and I can make a new flare for it, and then this can go at least into this one. This is just a straight, this is kind of a neat one. This is also an inverted flare. So this has got the 3/8 inverted flare on one side. See how this has got what looks like the flare that my flaring tool makes with the for the pipe. So that will seal down in there, and then it's got a larger diameter inverted flare on this side, which is what this one is. And this is the same size as the brake line coming off of the Corvette. So that is going to be able to go into there, and this will go into here. The only thing I don't like about this is pointing straight down. And what I have is coming in, and it's coming at about a 90, well, it's horizontal in this area, probably right here. So I will have to bend. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get it. I can't, wonder if I could. I don't know. Another problem for future me. That part of the brake line has got this coiled wire going around it to keep that solid line just as tight as possible so that there's no flexing. If this was a human heart, these lines coming straight off of this pressure vessel here are the aorta, and these will take the most pressure, pushing all of the brake fluid throughout the car, or all of the blood throughout the rest of the body. So these are very important. That's why I'm not using flexible hoses in this place. I'm using hard lines because I want a good hard brake pedal when I get done with this. So I've got some more bending to do. These two across here I can do right now. I've got another fitting coming in the mail. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. that I am not sure that I've ordered it right, but I think it's going to fit in here and then make a 90. If that's true, then I'm going to order a second one of those. I know I only ordered one. I'm not sure why I did that. Well, I do too know why. This one is an inverted flare to a 90, and this one is a pipe thread to an inverted flare 90. Okay, how was that for the long and the short of it? That is a little bit long. I got a second chance. Let's cut that off.
Don't try this yourself. It's extremely dangerous.
Well, it is August here in Iowa, and it's 90 degrees today. It's starting to cool off a little bit, but it's also 90% humidity. So I've really been enjoying working down in my basement shop where it's nice and cool. But now it's time to fit this master cylinder on the car. I have a new tool here. My new favorite tool is this large fan. So hopefully that can keep me cool while I'm doing this. So there probably won't be a lot of audio with this, but we'll see how it goes. This one needs to be going straight up into here. So right now it's in my way and I can't even put this in. So I think I'm going to give this a bend this way and then come up. This is going to get cut off. Maybe I cut that off first. Let's do that. There we go. Just took that part off first. It was interfering with my cutter here. All right, it's bolted on. That is solid. After much wrangling and bending, I have one line connected. It's kind of hard to see, but I've got both lines connected now. I finally got these two last lines on, and they were very, very difficult. In fact, this fitting right here, I couldn't even turn while it was in the car. Not only could I not get that one tight, and remember this is a pipe thread, so it's really got to get tightened. I could barely get on this fitting here. I mean, let me get on it here. It goes, this black part of the housing gets in the way when you turn in it, so I can only get like, I don't know, let's see, just a sixth of a turn out of it each time, but I have it good and tight now. So when I go to bleed this, I'm gonna have to bleed it clear down to the end of these tubes. So I'm gonna have to come up with some flexible line that will slide onto this double flare here and then go up to the reservoir. So I will be bleeding this entire assembly, which I think ought to be better, right? Except for it's going to be difficult for me to hold the brake fluid in here while I wrestle the thing in and get it all hooked up. But maybe I can come up with something, some kind of a plug to put on there that will do the job most of the time. So we're really close. I think I want to go down to the basement shop to bleed this. It's kind of hot out here. It's only 90 degrees today, so I only sweated a lot. I think I have pretty well got it now. So I'm going to do the bench bleed on this, and my little stand here is going to help out with that. So let's take another close look at this. I went and bought two different sizes of tubes because there's two different sizes of lines coming off of here. But I've got a pretty good seal on these, and I bought 2 feet each, so I'll be able to bring these around and get them into the reservoir. Another thing I haven't showed you yet is I have a little Allen wrench holder that I mounted on here. I don't know if probably right there shows it the best. Anyway, the way that works is it's got, oh, I can't get my finger in there. There we go. Push my finger on this and then that comes loose. So that's gonna stay with the car. And of course that's the Allen wrenches for the top here. So let's get this open. Here we go. And I bought the recommended brake fluid for this. Now I have the actual rod from the car that comes out of the diaphragm for the power brakes. Now it says to depress this all the way. So let's see how this is. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. That is one strong spring. Oh, I'm getting my workout today. Oh, it's starting to come up down here. Let me get you a new angle. Is it leaking? I do have a drip. Uh-oh. We have a leak. Okay. Right here. I think it's leaking right here. So I'm getting that drip right there. Is it here or here? I think it's here. Let me get a wrench on that. Okay. I gave that a little more tightness there now. And I have dried it off and it looks like it's not leaking, but let's give it a little more pressure again and we'll see what it does. I have the proportioning valve turned all the way out, so it's doing the least proportioning. So that is what is recommended. What? We got a leak. Another leak going here. Is it the same leak? That's what that squirting sound is. Dagnabbit. Man, I got that sucker tight already. Crap. Alright, I don't know how much more tighter I can really go here without breaking the damn thing off. Wonder if I can get on the other fitting here. Yeah, that'll give me a little bit of backup here. Okay, let's go here. All right, now you stay put here, brass fitting. Let's just strip this sucker out. How about that? Oh boy, I can really pull it now. All right, let's not strip it out. Oh, it feels like it's bottoming out right there. Ah, that feels pretty good. All right. Let's dry it off and try some more. Well, now the leak is coming from up here, so it's leaking past the threads. I'm gonna have to take that apart. Well, do I have some plugs? I think I may have figured this out. Now that flare, come on. I'm gonna show it. That flare looks just fine. Looks like it would seat okay. But what I did find is there's some dirt in here. It's actually some of the paint from this thing got in here, and I suspect that's what's holding it apart. And I'm going to inspect these threads closely and compare them to one of my new ones and see if the threads held up okay. You know what? I'm not going to use this one because I just don't want to try to clean that dirt out of there. I do have it clean on this side now. I'm going to use this same tube again, and we'll see how it goes. I may have gotten the leak. I'm not certain yet, but a lot of brake fluid leaked during that time. It was not fun. It may not be leaking now, but I've got brake fluid all over the place here. I put a garbage can right below here, so most of it went into this garbage can and is getting soaked up by other rags and sawdust and that kind of thing in here, but words were said. We're past that now. This may have a curse on it now from me, but we're not going to think about that anymore. I'm going to do a little more bleeding now to get the last of that air out of the line So we'll see how this goes. I don't see any more air. I think that's where all my air was coming in. It was right through that leak. Yeah, I'm just recirculating oil or brake fluid now. Okay, well apparently if you don't have any leaks, it couldn't go easy, but man, I got everything soaked under here now. Really can't tell. I don't see any drips though. Anyway, what a pain. Now I just need to cap these two off, and I have these small caps here, so I'm going to pull these off and I'm going to lose some brake fluid again, and then we'll get this plugged off, and I mean that's about as good as we can get it. There's some brake fluid on the bottom. All right, it's going to make a bit of a mess again. So I'll move my garbage can over here, and I'm going to start with the big one. Come on. Okay, that looks good. And I was able to get the other end of the tube into the brake reservoir, so I did not lose all of the brake fluid. Here we go. Up. Come on now. Wait. There we go. And we'll get this up in the air. Okay. I lost more brake fluid that time. All right. She's capped off decent. Now I can move out to the garage without losing too much more brake fluid. I'm going to put the lid back on, and then we're moving out to the garage. Here's my Allen wrench holder. It's working out pretty slick. Well, that's it for this time. I have the master cylinder all plumbed. I have all of the leaks out of it, and I'm ready to put it on now. And I've got my main lines that go down to the actual car already bent. So hopefully when I take those plugs out and get this hooked up, I can do that relatively quickly so I don't lose too much brake fluid. I'll probably stuff some rags down in that area to try to catch what brake fluid does leak through. I know I'm going to have some, and these types of fittings are notorious for not being lined up right and trying to get cross-threaded, so I'll have to be sure that I have my patience with me when I get ready to do that. But that's going to be in the next video, so I'm wrapping it up for this time. Thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. I'm really getting close to having my car back on the road, so I'm pretty excited about that. So if you subscribe, then you can get notifications about how my progress is going. So I hate to admit this, but I actually put some gas in this thing like I'm gonna run it. So I haven't started it. This car hasn't started for at least 3 years. It's been in the garage here for 5. Well, I think I actually rolled it out a couple of times just to reposition things to when I was working on the doors. But anyway, it's going to be driven soon. Possibly in the next episode, but no guarantees. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Good.